Hello, greetings. Thank you for the opportunity to handle this interview, and I'm going to go straight to the questions. The first question, please tell us about yourself. What are your interests and hobbies? My name is Leonel Bujang. I'm 39. I'm a teacher of mathematics. I'm a Cameroonian, and I've taught mathematics for the past 11 years. And I love to read my Bible, I love to pray, I love to share God's word with people, and I love to see people fulfill their destinies. Question number 2, what motivated you to become a teacher for the subject for which you are applying? Well, first of all, I've always loved mathematics from the secondary school. I've always been the best student in mathematics, and I realized that the more I solved mathematics, the more methods and techniques I was able to derive, and I found out that it was quite an interesting and easy subject, and yet it was a mystery to so many people, and I thought I could be of help. So the reason I loved mathematics because it was easy for me, and a lot of people found it difficult, and I made up my mind I'm going to help people to study and understand mathematics. Question 3. Tell us about your involvement in extracurricular activities that you could coach or supervise. I love music. I play the instrument, I play piano well, and I even have a music school where I train young people to play the piano and some other string instruments. I also love to sing. I love to coach young people on career and obtaining their visions, becoming what they want to be. Question number 4. What subjects have you taught and at what age levels? I've taught computer sciences to children between the ages of 11 to 18. I've also taught physics to students of ages 11 to 14. What do you prepare? Sorry, how do you prepare to teach your lessons, and what do your lesson plans include? When I prepare for my lesson, first of all, I always use the prerequisite knowledge. I always use the lesson I taught before, and before I come for the next class, I, I give them an idea of what they're going to be doing, and I'll give them exercises or homework that is based on what we'll do in the next lesson. I, I, I prepare my lesson based on objectives. I put the objectives, what I expect the students to obtain by the end, to understand, to learn by the end of the lesson. I also make sure I put my didactic materials together. Some of the didactic materials are actually prepared by the students. For example, if I have to teach on dimensions, I may have to ask the students to bring shapes, circular shapes, rectangular shapes, triangular shapes, so that we can use their material. And with that, they will have an idea of what the lesson will be like, and they are already prepared for the lesson. I also take into consideration the duration. So every lesson, I know the timing for every lesson, so that I can complete my work within a given space of time. Next question. Talk about two teaching strategies or methods that you effectively use in your classroom. First of all, my classroom is mostly student-based, student-centered. So I make use of the students. The first thing I do is, or the first method I apply mostly is I use groups. I put them in clusters. And when I give an exercise, I first give them time to work on it in groups. And each of these groups, I ensure that it's balanced. You have the ones that are active, you have the ones that are not too active, the ones that are fast to get the stuff. And I give them time, and at the end of a given period, I now ask each group to present their work, and from there I can come up with a conclusion. Another method I use is I prop their minds with questions. I could give a question and ask everybody to go solving and let me get everybody's response. And while they are solving, I'm also asking other questions so that they can think deeper and think better, so that everyone is involved. Next question. When someone enters your classroom, describe the learning activities in which the students are engaged. Like I said before, the students are the ones who do most, a great part of the work. I cause them to work in class such that if anyone comes to class at any particular time, you're going to feel that the class is active. And I make sure I use examples just within so that it captivates their mind. For example, if I'm teaching something on, say, simultaneous equations, I will use example of they themselves. I say, if Aminatu is sent to the canteen to buy 2 bread and 3 fish, and she spends 500 francs, and the next day, maybe Paul is sent to buy now 4 fish and 1 bread. Now, the question is, if you alone, you just want to buy 1 bread, how much will you spend? So it becomes practical, and they can see it's a practical exercise. It's interesting. Question number 8. What methods do you use to evaluate your students' progress? I mostly evaluate my students based on objectives. When I've completed a particular lesson, I like to evaluate. That's a kind of summative evaluation. And also I evaluate them progressively by questions. I ask questions, and your response will tell me how much more I need to put in. I also evaluate them by small quizzes and give them a quiz twice a week. There is, of course, we have our schedule. The curriculum gives us particular times to evaluate the students, but apart from that, I take my initiative to evaluate my students at every time. I could sometimes just like, they should get ready for a quiz in 2 days' time on a particular subject, on a particular lesson, and they'll get ready for it. At times, I may also evaluate just by orals. Could ask a question or a competitive kind of evaluation. I could put them in columns. I say this column is A, column B, column C, column D, and it's a competition. The column that answers the most questions takes the best, wins the day, and I will make prizes for that. So with that, it is an interesting evaluation. Question 9. If you use technology in your teaching, describe how you incorporate it into your teaching. Describe any experiences you have with a smart board. Well, technology, I mostly use technology in particular topics. For example, I've used GeoGebra in presenting some diagrammatic topics. I've used a projector to project some images, mathematical images in 3 dimensions. Like when I was doing conic section, I had to project using GeoGebra for the students to be able to see and apprehend the different sections in a cone, by which they can be able to understand when we get into studying the particular conic section, the circles, the ellipse, the hyperbola, the parabola. Apart from that, I don't much use a lot of technological devices. Nevertheless, I give them a lot of homeworks to research, and a lot of the students, they have access to their parents' phones, and some of them have phones, and when they come during the break time or during out of time, I show them how to do research. I also give them homeworks to do research. As far as a smart board is concerned, I haven't really used a smart board though, but I hope to use it sometime soon. Question 10. If you have students who are noisy or non-attentive, share ways you regain their attention without interrupting the class. Well, when I teach, I actually circulate the class and I monitor what the students are doing. If I notice that someone is not attentive or is noisy, while the others are busy and working, I will just indicate, I will tap you and I'll make sure that you're silent, you're concentrated. But if the noise gets so intense, I'll have to call out the person and I will make the class know this person is disturbing. I can take down your name, but I'll caution you to sit down. But generally, as I move around, the students are conscious and they are quiet. Next question. Describe the most difficult problem you have had to deal with as a teacher and how did you resolve the problem? I've mostly taught in rural areas, and in most of those areas I have students who have grown up and they have studied in schools where they didn't quite master the base in the subject, and as part of that their communication is mostly in their local dialect, and it has so much affected their understanding of the English language. So many times when I teach, even to understand has been an issue. And what I do in such cases, I encourage the students. Sometimes I have to call a classmate to come and interpret in a dialect what I explain, just once in a while. But after that, I ensure that out of class, I call them, I speak to them more often in English, and I encourage them to communicate more in English so that they will get used to the language and it will help them in their academics. And I observe that they are picking up, it's changing. Next question. Give an example to show that you are a flexible person and that you can make changes to your teaching methods. Wow, I remember once I gave an evaluation. It was actually an end of year evaluation for the final year students, and most of them didn't do well. But I was worried about the results, but none of the students told me why. When we had a meeting, the students, the teachers, and the principal and the school administration were finding out from the students why their results were the way they were. And one of the students, or some of the students, actually indicated that in mathematics, the math teacher teaches too fast. Because of that, they don't understand. And that was my first time to know. And after that, I was able to be a little bit slow in my explanation, and that actually showed I was flexible to make changes. And not only did I ameliorate my way of teaching, I learned to find out from the students from time to time whatever could be the reason why they may not be understanding. They should always let me know. If it's something about my personality, they are free to tell me. And because of that, the students, they became free, and it really changed a lot. I remember one of the students told me one time, my voice is too low. I'm talking only to the students in front of the class. And so I had to, even though there was difficult circulation, I had to increase my voice. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and these are my answers. Bye.